Hello everyone and welcome back or welcome to the channel. In today's video we are looking at using Copilot for editing Canvas Power Apps. I'll explain which Copilot feature I find useful when editing Power Apps and also one thing I miss in this feature. As a bonus I will also show you a few examples on how I use Copilot in Edge or for that matter in ChatGPT in my editing process. Let's jump right into it. The Copilot feature can be found in the top right corner. You can see it here. That's the Copilot icon. If it's not available to you, it might have been turned off by your organization, so you might have to contact your Power Platform administrator to turn it on. So the Copilot gives us a few options here on the right side. It already tries to explain a few of its examples here, but let's quickly jump to the documentation to see what Microsoft says about this Copilot feature. So, summarized, it's about a few controls you can edit with it, and then they have a few simple commands you can try. So, you can add a screen, you can edit a control, and then a few other things. But this is the one I find useful, bulk editing. So, that means you can change colors on a lot of elements with the Copilot feature, or change the text or the font size. And that's pretty useful in some cases. Let's see it in action. Here on my screen 1, I have a few text boxes. And also on screen 2, I have a few text boxes. So the old way of editing this will be to hold down Control on your keyboard and then select the ones or the controls you would like to change the property on. We can change the text here on the right side to whatever we want. But you can't really select, like on screen 2, I can't select the properties. However, with this new Copilot feature, I can simply actually just write it here, like change label font size to 40 pixels. Screens. So even with a few spelling mistakes, let's see what it does. It actually changed the text on the label 4, 3. That's pretty neat. At least I think that we are able to do this. It could also be that it's only on screen 1 we would like to change the text. So change the font size on all labels on screen 1. So now it changed the font size on all the labels on screen 1. On the second screen, it maintained the same font size. So I find that quite interesting. Let's do one other thing, change. Now we change the font color, or not the font color, the fill color on the labels in screen 1. Wow, it's so beautiful. And we can even, instead of just writing the color, we can provide an RGBA value. So let's try to do this simple command, like set fill on all labels in screen 1 to this specific RGBA value. Now it changed the color on all values. What could have been really nice is this one thing, and this is the thing I miss, is being able to set the values of a control to a specific variable with Copilot. Like setting the values of all text labels fill property on screen 1 to a specific variable. For example, like this. Set the values of all text labels fill properties on screen 1 to the variable global full color. It says it can't do that right now. And that's usually a feature we spend quite some time on when building Power Apps sometimes. Like in the app on start, we have defined a theme with some variables. And then when we have the specific control here, we set it to the color. And that could have been so nice to have with the Copilot feature, that we can bulk update this one. But we're not quite that yet, but this might be a feature for the future. All right, I will try to give you 3 examples of how I sometimes use Copilot in Bing or ChatGPT in my workflow. So I find these tools a bit more mature than the Copilot in Power Apps. And I will show 3 examples that demonstrate that. In order to use Copilot in Bing, I can just click this feature and then everything is set to go. Sometimes when I do Power Apps, I need some sample data, for example, for a drop down or a combo box, just to play around with. And I don't like to write it all by myself. So I can use Copilot to generate some sample data for me. So what I would write is the following. So I just pasted in, please generate a people table in Power Apps with the PowerFX table function. And the table should contain some sample data about height and age of a person. So then it just generates a basic table for us. And let's try to see how specific it was. So I'll just do a simple on start collection here. Then remember to run on start in order to trigger this one. So let's add data table to show the data. Select the people table and then show a few fields. There you have it. A simple way to generate some sample data for our Power App. The second example I want to show you of how awesome Copilot can be is, for example, doing the process of coming up with a theme for a Power App. So let's say I don't have any organization theme or colors brought to me, and I would just like Copilot to give me a theme. So I will prompt Copilot in this way in order to generate a theme. So a bit of a lengthy one here. You can certainly specify it in a shorter way. Let's see what it generates for me. Great. Let's try to use this one in the Power App. Again, here in the onStart property, I'm just defining it here. So let's try to change the background color to match the theme property here. So it has generated a table with one record inside. So that's why I need to use the first property and then tap into the background color. This could be ideal. Let's say that you have more themes. So each row defines a theme and then you can switch around. Usually we just have one theme inside our app. So it would be more nice if it just was a record and we didn't have to do the first function to tap into it. So let's ask Copilot to rewrite it into a record instead of a table. Exactly the same. Instead, I will just try to explain to it, use the set function. So now it's defining a record instead of a table. There you go. A more simple way of using like a theme. A third example of how I use Copilot during my editing process could be to suggest PowerFX formulas. For example, let's say I want to manipulate the people table we use for the data table, this one, and say I want to add a column more containing favorite food. Here's how I use Copilot to suggest a PowerFX function that can do that if I can't remember it or I don't want for some reason to go to the documentation. Let's see what it generates. So it explains to us we have the add columns function. And this function allows us to create calculated columns. So I should be able to say add columns in the people table. Now we've added an empty column with favorite food to our people table. This is one way of doing it. We could also use this one, so this one would be able to help us adding records to it, but we have to do it on a behavior control, so a button or something else, and then it would generate this new column with some extra values in it. So yeah, these were 3 examples of how I sometimes use the Copilot in my developing process. I hope you liked the video. If anything was unclear or you have any questions, please write in the comments. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay awesome and build awesome apps and dashboards. See ya.